The election of a new pope is always a historic moment, watched closely not only by Catholics around the world, but also by political and cultural observers. In the most recent conclave, the choice of Robert Francis Prevost as the new pope sent shockwaves across the Catholic community. While many welcomed the decision with cautious optimism, others, particularly the devoted supporters of Cardinal Luis Tagle, reacted with disbelief, disappointment, and even outrage. Tagle, often dubbed the Asian Francis for his humility, progressive views, and deep connection with the poor, had long been considered a front-runner for the papacy. For years, his growing influence in the Vatican and his popularity across continents had fueled speculation that he could become the first Asian pope in history. But with the surprise election of Prevost, many of Tagle's supporters feel a deep sense of betrayal and frustration. So, why exactly are they furious? Here are 5 key reasons. 1. The lost hope of the first Asian pope. For millions, particularly in Asia and the global South, Cardinal Tagle represented not just a capable leader, but also a symbol of representation and hope. Born in the Philippines, Tagle has long been viewed as a bridge between East and West, tradition and progress, old structures and new realities. His rise within the Vatican hierarchy was widely seen as a preparation for the papacy. As head of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, he was at the forefront of Catholic missionary work, with influence spanning across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. His supporters were hopeful that his election would mark a new chapter for a church that has struggled with declining numbers in the West but growing vibrancy in the East. Prevost's election, in contrast, seems like a reaffirmation of traditional Eurocentric leadership. Though American by nationality and born in Chicago, Prevost has spent considerable time in Latin America, which may explain his support within the College of Cardinals. Still, for many who had hoped to see the first Asian pope in history, the choice feels like a missed opportunity, a step backward at a time when the Church claims to be moving forward. 2. Tagle's vision for a more compassionate, inclusive church was rejected. Tagle's pastoral style and theological outlook are widely aligned with Pope Francis's vision, a church that listens, heals, and walks with the marginalized. He's been outspoken on issues such as poverty, social justice, climate change, and welcoming migrants. His critics may have called him overly sentimental, but his fans saw this as a sign of authenticity and Christ-like empathy. By choosing Prevost, a more reserved, administrative figure, some supporters feel the conclave opted for bureaucracy over charisma and caution over courage. Prevost, while respected, does not carry the same magnetic presence or emotional depth as Tagle. He is seen more as a manager than a visionary. For many, this signals a shift away from the bold reforms of the Francis era, just when momentum was building for deeper change. 3. Concerns over a return to conservatism. Although Prevost is not regarded as an outright conservative, his selection is viewed by many as a compromise candidate designed to soothe factions within the Vatican uneasy with the progressive tilt under Francis and Tagle. While not doctrinally rigid, Prevost's more of a centrist figure, lacking the prophetic tone that characterized Tagle's speeches and writings. This has raised alarms among Tagle's followers, who fear that the Church may now slow down or even reverse efforts toward inclusivity, accountability, and modernization. Hot-button issues such as the role of women in the Church, LGBTQ+ inclusion, and responses to the abuse crisis may now be approached with greater hesitation or even outright dismissal. To those who believe Tagle could have pushed the Church toward a more compassionate future, Prevost's election feels like a betrayal of that hope. 4. A blow to the global South. The Catholic Church has undergone a dramatic geographic shift in recent decades. Once dominated by Europe and North America, today the faith is growing fastest in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. In this new context, leaders from the global south have demanded a greater say in church affairs, and many saw Tagle as the perfect figure to reflect this transformation. Tegels' experience leading a diocese in the Philippines, his academic training in Rome, and his deep involvement in Vatican missions made him uniquely suited to act as a global Pope, one who understands the concerns of both the center and the periphery. Choosing Prevost, despite his time in Peru, sends a message, intentional or not, that the old centers of power still dominate. Many in the global south are now left wondering when, if ever, they will see one of their own truly lead the church. Tegels' supporters feel this moment was ripe for change, and instead, they're left with more of the same. 5. A personal and emotional investment in Tagle. Cardinal Tagle isn't just admired for his position, he is loved for his character. Known for his tearful homilies, storytelling, and humility, Tagle has forged an emotional connection with Catholics around the world. He embodies a kind of spiritual leadership that feels deeply human and profoundly rooted in compassion. Many lay people, especially in the Philippines, have followed his journey for years. They watched him rise from local bishop to archbishop, and eventually to a senior Vatican post. Social media, documentaries, and online homilies have made him a household name. For many, he wasn't just a candidate. They had prayed for his election. The disappointment now runs deeper than mere politics. It feels personal. His supporters are grieving what they see as a squandered opportunity, not just for the church, but for the world. Their anger and sadness are not necessarily aimed at Prevost personally, but at the decision-making process that seems, once again, to have sidelined the voice of the people. The fury among Tegels' supporters speaks to something deeper than one man's failed bid for the papacy. It reflects a broader frustration with the pace of change in the Catholic Church, yearning for a leadership that reflects the diversity and dynamism of its global flock. It also reveals the emotional stakes of religious identity in the 21st century, where faith is not just about doctrine, but about representation, empathy, and trust. To be fair, Pope Robert Francis Prevost may still surprise the world. His supporters argue that he is thoughtful, experienced, and capable of uniting a polarized church. And Tagle, ever gracious, will likely continue to serve with loyalty and grace, as he always has. But the storm of anger following the conclave reveals that many Catholics are no longer content with slow progress or quiet compromise. They want bold, visible leadership that mirrors their hopes and realities. In their eyes, that leader was Luis Tagle, and for now, that dream has been put on hold.